That was terrible, but it worked. Yay! Welcome to One Pixel, Episode 2. We're going to talk about Charnok and how he heals like the best. Okay, not really. He doesn't actually heal, but this
Oh,
is...
come on, man. The Healing Charnok. New meta, boys.
I know. This is One Pixel. This is basically a show about competitive gigantic hosted by GG Unleashed, ggunleashed.com. Check out the website, also the Twitter, GG_Unleashed, because GG Unleashed is apparently a female gaming group, which I learned last week, and I was like, oops.
We had to learn that one the hard way when, we didn't get the traffic we were expecting.
Yeah, it's okay. My hosts, once again, Zero and Teralther, they are going to be, I guess, tagging along for the foreseeable future. I have no idea.
I don't know. If we could ever get Baz to shut up, we'd actually say something, but you know.
No. I don't ever shut up. That's why I'm a host. Because if I wasn't a host, then I would just literally never stop talking. So, topics this week are going to be as follows. We're going to be talking about Charnok, basically why he's such an overpowered asshole. Also, we're going to be talking about the healers. Are they worth it? They might not be, so keep in tune for that. Going to be going over some builds by Rez and Mr. Ed, as well as just some good kind of synergies and other cool stuff. Also, we have a pen to give away. Please tweet at GG Unleashed and at GoGigantic with the hashtag OnePixel with either your favorite Charnok build or something that you really enjoy about Charnok as a character. So I think my my cohorts froze there. Are you guys still with me? Did Skype crash? Skype did crash momentarily, but we are back. Everything is okay.
I was very.
I was like, oh man, I was gonna say.
I heard it drop out. I was like, silence. There's nothing
it was a miracle,
else here.
and then you ruined it, Baz.
Who's hosting? Trollthrow, are you hosting the Skype call?
I am.
Okay, all right. Well, it's your fault. We blame you. Hashtag blame Trollthrow.
Of course, because I get blamed for everything. Of course.
That's
why?
true.
Why wouldn't I get blamed?
So again, guys, please tweet at GG Unleashed at GoGigantic with the hashtag OnePixel with stuff about Charnok. Let's continue on with the conversation. Before we do, we're going to add a new segment into the show. I wasn't able to get the intro for this particular segment done, but we're going to be recapping Guardian Arena each week. And as we develop the show and as we move forward, I'll have more stats and stuff to bring you guys. Solthis is working hand in hand with me, so that's really nice of her to give me some more data and more stats on that. But let's see. I will zoom you out here in just a second, buddy. I have to figure out which one you are because... Which one are you? Are you window capture? Hey, you're window capture. All right, there we go.
You know, you could just label someone else.
I did, but I labeled everyone wrong. Because, well, no, my OBS, renamed everyone for some reason. I have no idea why. But, Zero Charnok, there is something about this little bastard that just, I think, makes everyone really excited because it's fire, and at the same time, the reaction on the receiving end is, oh my gosh, that's just such BS. Why is that?
Well, first of all, I love how you transitioned from we're gonna first start by talking about GA and then skip over it.
It's been a really long day at work. See, this is why I have you to keep me on track. I replaced 6 drops today and ran into 3 snakes. So by the time I got home, I was just like, I am so ready to just be done. And I'm on vacation now, so. Yeah, all right.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, let's go back into the gigantic recap. I am going to pull up a screen here that allows us to kind of see the recap here. Now, there wasn't a lot of participation last week just due to, I think, school transition and a couple other holidays that I didn't know about. So, the Thursday matches, I think, were a little bit more interesting than the Saturday one. Saturday's participation was a little bit low. Zero, did anything kind of stand out to you at all during this week?
Yeah, TDZ stood out to me. Brand new team. We've never played against them before, and they were one of the most fun games that Art had all week. Was we got to play against TDZ. They came out of nowhere. Sure, they went 2-3 on Thursday, but I mean, your first week as a team, you still win 2 games. You pick them up.
Yeah.
TDZ won their 2 games. First against. Maybe I'm looking at it wrong. They won.
It was big in HKs, wasn't it?
Yeah, big in HKs.
Yeah.
3-1 against both teams. Both are teams that I actually highly respect. They've been sort of established. HKs is still pretty much a ringer team at the moment, but they're working on coming into it a bit. So TDZ just sort of came out of nowhere for me, and trust me, Art is going to pay a lot of attention to TDZ because they are a joy to play against.
Well, that's awesome.
Well, I mean, they only got 1 wound off you, Zeru. I mean, why'd you let them get that wound, man?
It was only 1 wound that they actually got off of us, but they got 4 or 5 chances where they were really close to getting the push, and we managed to sneak out that last little bit of power and get the push back on them. So we were fighting into full shield. 3-1 does not accurately represent the game. It was a 25-minute game. It went on for a while.
Nice.
But it was... There is definitely something to be said for TDZ's play.
Cool.
And the fact that they beat both HK and Big 3-1 was impressive. That was impressive.
That's a huge thing right there. I mean, Big's an EU team, if I remember right. Correct?
Are you kidding? No.
You know what? Oh, I know why. Because they all have like accents that I don't recognize, and for some reason I thought they were on the.
Oh, they are absolutely not. Bobo will strangle you for that as well. He should.
Oh, that's okay. It's okay. Now,
Coos, Jesus.
Now it's funny. Like, I mean, obviously RNG is going to go 3 now, just because they're a team that's been with Gigantic since almost day 1, but like HK being a ringer team to go 2-1, that's actually pretty impressive with just a bunch of random people on their team.
Yeah.
I mean,
it was. Yeah, the game that their first win was against Big. It was 3-1. I have no clue what happened that game, but the game against Art was just a super hard-fought game on both sides, and in the end, they ended up getting the better of us. So
for those watching, a brief explanation: 3-1 means the team on the left side took 3 wounds to the team on the right side.
No. The winning team took 3 wounds.
That's right.
The winning team is not always the team on the left.
Well, right. I'm explaining the number 1 slot there.
Yeah.
So Big won against TDZ.
No. TDZ won and got 3 wounds to 1 of Big. TDZ was the away team for the match, but they got 3 wounds. But they took all 3 wounds to the 1 of
I see
Big.
how it's written now. Okay, there we go. Apparently I need coffee. Holy hell.
Yeah, you definitely do. After getting bit by those snakes, I don't blame you.
Yeah, Saturday, a little bit less interesting, but what is back in business and playing again, which we look forward to seeing them on Thursday again this week. Hopefully they'll be there. Not too sure, but hopefully we'll actually be back up to 6 teams weekly playing, so that'll be fun.
Has any players on either HK or TDZ kind of stood out to you? There's Zero.
On TDZ, the person that I solo queue a lot against in the mornings because he stream is FBTW Gaming.
Okay.
That guy. Yeah.
He and Sven only are. I play a lot of solo queue and I come up against them a lot. Mechanically, they're pretty sound. They know.
Do you remember what map that was?
Sanctum.
Okay. Yeah, Sanctum is one of those maps you just can't like.
And actually, the other game went pretty well, I think.
For not sucking. Good job. Now, one thing I want to ask you is your team went 2-1. Explain
no,
the two.
1 and 2.
1 and 2.
1 and 2.
Yeah, sorry. It's been a long day. Were the 2 losses that you guys suffered, was that more mechanic based, or was that just you guys made some wrong plays?
We've made some stupid engages. We were playing I guess we were playing a little bit defensive. We were playing a little bit scared against HKs, which we really shouldn't have been, but we played a little bit scared. We backed off more than we should have, and it really put us on the back foot for the entire game.
Do you remember what map that was?
Sanctum.
Okay. Yeah, Sanctum is one of those maps you just can't, like...
And actually, the other game went pretty well, I think. The other loss was a 3-1 to Renegades.
Okay.
So I was okay with that. We took a wound off Renegades.
Yeah.
We got 3 pushes. We did 0 damage to the wound as us. The Guardian took the wound, but getting 3 pushes against Renegades was a win in my mind. I was happy for that. So
definitely.
Okay. Yeah. I'm okay to lose to Renegades 3-1.
Yeah, that's all right. Just getting the 1 wound in is pretty good against Renegades.
It doesn't matter. Art's going to be the first team to take a game off Renegades anyway. It's just a matter of time until then.
Okay. So I wager $10 that you will not be the first team to take a game off of Renegades.
Come on, you gonna think we're gonna do it with the reborn not orange juice this week, Baz? Come on, we can do it.
No,
no,
not even close.
Who do you think is gonna be it?
Believe,
Who do you think it's gonna be?
In my personal opinion, I think TDZ is gonna do it.
Really? The dark force out of nowhere, just coming up and just shaking up the entire gigantic.
Do you want to take that wager, Zero? Do you want to take that wager? All right, cool.
Yeah, I'll take that wager.
All right, so it is.
Write me a check. I expect it in the mail by tomorrow morning.
I only do PayPal. Sorry. All right, so the wager has been placed. TDZ, don't fail me. I want my $10. I need them Big Macs. Now,
can I throw another $10 in on HKs?
Sure. What the hell? Why not?
All right. $10. Here we go.
All right. So the Saturday matches. It looked.
I can't talk too much about that, but Renegades 3-0ing everybody. Perfect.
Yeah.
I'm not all that surprised, to be honest. Saturdays are a little bit harder. Not everyone's playing all the time.
Yeah, I've noticed that Saturdays have become a day where not a lot of teams show up, and it's kind of become Thursdays again, which it was originally, which is odd because you think people would be like available on the weekends.
I mean, the reason why Art doesn't play on Saturdays, we never play on Saturdays, is because both Falco and I like to actually have a little bit of a personal life, and me being in college and her having work every day means that Saturdays and Sundays are sort of our only day to do that. So we tend to take the weekend off.
Yeah, it's and I work, so you know.
Yeah, as do I.
Stupid work. Gosh damn bills.
Well, having to eat for a living. Yeah.
Now, one thing that's interesting is Shark Jugglers team went 2-2, which really isn't bad. But I'm sorry?
They played. They beat HKs once. Actually, they played HKs 4 times and went 2-2 against HKs.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Now,
is there some video of that somewhere? I don't want to see those.
Probably somewhere.
Somewhere. I looked at the VODs. There wasn't anything there, unfortunately. Now, one thing that's interesting about that is I know that Shark Jugglers team just came back, and I'd like to actually get him on the show here eventually and kind of talk about his struggle with kind of keeping his team up and whatnot. I know he's been dealing with some personal stuff with his dog over the last few weeks, so that's kind of been putting a halt on his stuff. But I'd like to kind of get his, I guess, opinions on how things go on Saturday as well. So I mean, as far as like the GA recap is concerned, Renegades went 4-0. Team What went 2-2 overall. HK's 4-3. Big 2-3. Art 1-2, and TDZ went 2-3 overall. And Ringers didn't do well at all. So
Ringers, what do you expect?
Well, yeah, I mean it's just a bunch of random people. Now, what I find interesting is that Big didn't do well this week. And they've been practicing pretty much on a consistent basis. Like, if you go into Game Box, they're always playing. Do we know if they have had any roster problems over the last few weeks?
I am unaware to any roster problems. And again, I haven't really talked to them much about roster stuff. That we don't really talk about roster stuff that much. It's not something that the community, that the competitive players really just are all and open about. Because, I mean, losing a player is not fun ever.
No,
yeah.
Not at all.
It sort of dampens the morale, but it's one of those things where you have a bad week. It happens.
Yeah.
I don't expect Big to get down from this at all. I know they were missing Koos.
Okay.
Koos
that would
was
be a big difference.
not around. But I think they had an off week. They'll be back this week. They'll bring some fire back and show us.
I want to see some wins against more than just the Ringers. So.
Oh yeah, they'll get there. Now,
kind
of like transitioning into that. Obviously, Charnok was like a heavy pick during the entire week. I don't think I saw a game that didn't involve Charnok in some capacity. There might have been one or two games that I saw or played that really didn't have Charnok, but he's just such a powerful force in the meta right now. And it's almost, I think it's almost really, really difficult to say that if he's not on your team, you're not going to do as well as if he was on your team. Maybe that's too much to put on his shoulders, but I don't know. Like, through in your experiences, has that been pretty much what you've seen so far?
Well, yeah. I mean, I've seen a lot of melee heavy stuff from my playing. I mean, it's like a lot of games I go into, you're gonna see 3 melee, usually a Margrave or a Nasus, and then you'll have one of the assassins, and then maybe one. Two frontliners and one assassin, or 2 assassins and 1 frontliner. I mean, you'll see that pretty much every game. And when you have 3 people bunched up all trying to hit the same target, hey, Charnok says, hey, what's up? How you doing?
Yeah, I mean, that's true. Zero, have you pretty much found the same, that Charnok is just good at just zoning people?
Charnok's pretty much the king of AoE. All of his abilities have the ability to have the upgrade or are at the start AoE, and that really makes him good in team fights against teams that have to jump in and go together. It means that if you don't pick off the Charnok before you fight the fight, you're just going to be taking constant ticking damage the entirety of the fight.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to counterplay Charnok in a way. Zero, do you feel that there really isn't a good counterplay to him right now besides, like, say, maybe an Amani or like a Beckett that can just constantly kind of poke at him?
Amani's good, Beckett's good, pretty much anyone who can interrupt him, slow him down, because if you can stop his R&B and sort of take him away from the fight a little bit, you bring his power down just a little bit. You bring it down just enough that he can't be constantly getting fireballs off over and over and over again. But the real big thing that you get is... the real big thing that you get from taking your Charnok out of the fight is you get away from that ultimate. The ultimate is scary. It's especially once you keep flaming on it and it's extended range, it'll take up the entire stairway to altar on its own, and it's a lot of damage coming in, and then it leaves the burning fields on the ground. Honestly, I think pretty much any burst damage will take him down. So Amani can take him down. If you lock him down with a Voden ult, then the entire team can jump on him. Trip and Taito can take him down, especially Taito, because Taito's broken.
Pretty good first. Too if she takes the cripple, so
Taito's
get that nation out.
I mean, but Taito's just broken altogether because resets, and Taito can bleed Charnok to death, which is scary. Taito can bleed pretty much anybody to death.
Yeah, Taito's broken. I mean, that's
a different conversation. But Taito and Trip, Wu, if you've got a good Wu that can 100 to 0 somebody, Amani is good because she can get double bursted bolts off with her, double boom bolts off on him using the knockover upgrade. But you really have to take him out of the fight or keep him zoned away so that by the time he's showing up, the fight's already pretty much over, and the rest of the team can back out so that you're not just going to take a lot of damage.
Oh, no, I would definitely agree with that.
Yeah, the other thing with the Amani or the Beckett or the Voden or like any long-range damage, you might be able to force him into a defensive build early, which just delays his impact from level 5 to level 7. So that...
But if you're
very few players will do that.
But if you're playing in a competitive game, which I'm going to wrap this back around to competitive, but if you're playing him in a competitive game, having Charnok on your team opens up a bunch of synergy options. You can go Beckett, because Beckett has Burning. You can go Ashlyn, who's also got Burning. You can go Amani, who's got Burning. Is there anyone else on the top of your head that can actually inflict burning damage?
Sven and Zenobia.
Sven and Zenobia. All right, yeah. Sven and Zenobia and Vidasi. So he's got a whole bunch of people that you can pick with him to empower his LMB. That'll give him, if they were to take Stoke the Fire upgrade path,
right, yep.
he gets fireball after fireball after fireball and just deal a lot of damage back on whoever's there.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Both of the actually, one thing that I find interesting about the builds that we linked in the chat is Rez's build does go with Stoke to Fire, and Ed's build goes with Bigger Ball of Fire, which both are good based on your playstyle. And I feel that Rez's build is more of a team comp build, where Ed's build is just kind of, hey, it's kind of like an all-around, you can just kind of be able to like solo queue well with it, almost.
I think literally the only difference between the two is the fact that Rezo tends to play much more up in your face. He's not like, you see him play HK, you see him play Trip, you see him play stuff, rather Trip not really, but you see him play Charnok, you see him play HK, stuff that you'd expect him to sit back, and no, he wants to be up in your face the entire time. That's just his style of play.
Yeah.
So going the upgrades that have going the Burning Notice upgrade means that because he's always on top of you, he's going to be constantly throwing small fireballs or second tier fireballs. He doesn't want to have to wait for it to charge up, especially because in both cases they take the Burning Breath level 5 passive, which means that they don't get the fireballs charged faster.
Correct.
Which I really like that instead, because it means that you've got to taking the dragons, taking Burning Breath just gives you another way to proc burning damage, and DOT is really scary and gigantic. The difference is when Ed plays Charnok in competitive, he sits back as far away from the fight as he can and throws level 3 fireballs, but that means that because he's far enough away, he's got time to let the fireball build up. You can also see that at level 5 he's taken the Make It Rain Fire upgrade on his Q, which means that while he's up in the air, he's just throwing out level 3 fireballs that entire time because he doesn't have to wait for them to charge up. So that having that gives him a little bit more of a supporty damage whoever's playing it. So that's really a preference choice. But both these builds are really good. It just depends on who you're playing them with.
Yeah, personally, I favor more Ed's build.
Blast off earlier than Rezo did, because Rezo will just jump out. Rezo will just use it to jump out. When Ed does it, if he's using Blast Off, if he's using Detonate, he's typically using it to engage instead of disengage.
Right.
So he's going to want to get the burning from landing on people as well.
Samurai Ed said in chat, burning is more DPS oriented as opposed to Big Ball of Fire, which is more burst oriented, which is what you were saying.
Yeah, it's a little bit, it's stronger for whoever's playing it. So that's really a preference choice. But both these builds are really good. It just depends on who you're playing them with.
Yeah, personally, I favor more Ed's build, because if I play a ranged character, I like to kind of be away from the fight and not like have a lot of stuff in my face because it's a ranged character. But there are occasions where I will take Rez's build every once in a while, and just, if my comp favors, I guess, more of the in-your-face kind of stuff. I almost feel like Charnok is just good no matter what you're doing, just because he has so much presence on the battlefield, especially like Siren Strand. And I know everyone hates Ghost Reef, but Charnok is just stupidly good at Ghost Reef because of all the tight spaces, all the tight corridors, and he can just zone people for just an infinite amount of time.
The other thing that is sort of overpowered at the moment, but is also a really good, I'm 100% sure it's a bug at the moment, but something that's really good about Charnok is he is currently the best hero for securing kills when an assassin's trying to get away, especially on Sanctum or on Valley. On Valley, he's got the bridge over by ship, and on Sanctum, he's got altar. Because Charnok's ultimate is floor to ceiling, you can use it up in altar or down in the space under altar and hit that entire cylinder. And you can use that as a way just to set up burning fields on the ground.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I almost feel that his floor to ceiling like mechanic should be at least like jumpable or maybe like leapable with like tidal swoop or something.
No. It should not be.
No, okay.
It should not be dodgeable at all, but it should not pass through the floor. Is what I'm saying. I'm saying it's floor to ceiling, not floor to skybox, because that's
Fair
what
enough.
I'm saying is on altar, you can hit people in the space in the other pass through underneath altar while you're standing in altar. You use your ult in altar, it'll hit that entire section. It'll hit both above and below. Same vice versa. A Charnok can be standing. A Charnok can be standing underneath and directly impact the fight by using his ultimate and shooting through the floor at you.
That's hilarious.
I
would
don't
love
think
to see a
that's
video of that.
intentional.
I don't think it's intentional either, but use it while you have it.
Yeah.
Use it while you have it.
Hashtag
Yeah,
blame
no
Greg.
kidding.
Jeez,
Yeah,
that's hilarious.
Hashtag focus Charnok.
Gosh,
Yeah.
seriously. You know, another really interesting kind of aspect about Charnok is he has a stupid amount of synergies when it comes to team fights. Terrell 3, you wrote up some notes about like synergies and that kind of stuff. Now, the one thing that I want to talk to you about is the Zenobia, because that's kind of the hero that you play.
Yes.
The slows and cripples that Zenobia can just dish out constantly, just kind of go, okay, I'm going to slow like half the team, and then Charnok's like, hey, cool, everyone's slowed. I'm going to drop everything and just decimate your entire force. Like, is that something that you see constantly in games?
Well, that's something I do constantly in games. What are you talking about? I just see it. I do it myself.
Fair enough.
The thing is with Charnok is that you can go either way with it too. If you think he's going the burning build, you can take the burning on your Mark of Despair and set the burning up for him. If you think he's just going for burst, you take the heal immunity. So Sven just doesn't come out of nowhere and just say, "Hey, you're gonna live through this burst.
Right.
You will
right.
don't die."
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, the other synergy that you don't really see in either of these two builds, but if you're building a comp around it, it can be really useful, is if instead of the Meteoric Fall, if you were instead to take the slow field on his E, which is not ideal because you lose a whole bunch of damage, but if you were to take it instead, if you've got a couple of assassins on your team, say you have Margrave or Paco on your team, then using Hot Coals or any of its subsequent upgrade paths gives your engagers a way to jump in without having to worry about missing abilities. So you do that, you have a Gnosis drop his RMB on it so that they're now slowed even more and crippled. He jumps in, pulls an ult, boom, person dead. Yeah. Margrave can jump in, Paco Snowball can come in. If they're slowed, Imani can boom bolt them and continue to buy extra time.
Right.
But even without that, having boom bolt or any lockdown at all, any like actual stun, if you time it correctly and go, for example, on Paco, if you were just to land a max snowball, when the slow starts, if you were to throw out your E with the meteor on it, they would be stunned long enough that the meteor would actually fall out of the sky and hit them. So it's
all about timing.
Combo boys.
With timing stuff, Charnok can be a really scary hero to play against if you've got the right team helping him.
Yeah.
It's like we're playing Tekken here. We got juggles for days. And you're just going to stand there and take the damage. There ain't nothing you can do about it. Deal with it, bro.
Pretty much. Now, you mentioned Paco. First of all, Motiga, please bring back Paco. Paco, I miss him so much.
He just wants hugs. That's all.
Second of all, his slow. You mentioned his slow. You also mentioned that the slow on Charnok really isn't as effective as the meteor stun. Both builds elected to not go the meteor or the slow, but there are certain cases.
Both builds also agreed not to go crater. Going stun on the meteor is even less effective because not only do you have to wait 2 seconds to hit, so you have to aim it 2 seconds in advance, which gives the enemy a lot of time to know. If the Charnok is level 10 and he starts hot hail and the meteor doesn't fall immediately, then you know that it's a stun meteor. So then all you have to worry about is getting stunned so you have time to get out of the way.
Right.
The reason why you go meteoric fall is because it means that you no longer have any delay time between when you start the field and the meteor falling, which is why it synergizes well with any sort of CC.
Right.
Because that just a little bit of CC, if you were to drop hot hail where they need to go, then the meteor would hit them as they're coming out of CC, and that's a lot of damage. That's 400-ish damage, I think.
Yeah, I was about to ask. Do we know the exact number of the meteor?
I think it's 400-ish.
400.
I'm sure someone in chat.
All of his
someone in
abilities
chat
just
will
do
correct
so
me.
much damage. It's so
Yeah,
stupid.
someone in chat will correct me, but
Yeah, to put that in perspective, 400 damage is about a quarter health of a squishy. That's a lot for one button press.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, Trip has about 1,300 HP, so that's almost half.
although in perspective, if you were to add some perspective to that, it's not a lot of it's not a super high amount of damage when you think about it in comparison to someone like Amani, for example.
Well, right.
Amani, every single shot from close range is 500. So Amani can 3-shot a Trip. Amani can I think it's 4 shots to take down a Taito. I don't remember Taito's base health, but it's either 3 or 4 shots to take down a Taito.
Taito has like
Pretty sure it's 4.
1,400, 1,500.
Even Margrave and others, she doesn't deal as much quickly, but she still hurts a lot to take down.
Yeah,
she hurts a lot if she can start landing combos. And so, in the grand scheme of things, it's not a huge amount, but as instant burst damage in an AoE, it's a lot. For instant AoE, it's just not, numbers-wise, it's not huge, but he can hit more than one person with it, which is why it's important.
So, in correlation of taking Meteoric Fall over, say, Crater, in what specific situations have you seen Crater work in terms of team composition? Because in Gigantic, team composition is almost the most important thing when it comes to competitive play. Like in Dota League of Legends, you have certain heroes that do certain things, but most of the heroes in League of Legends and Dota can carry no matter what they do. In Gigantic, you have actual support heroes. You have heroes that are very versatile and they're not locked into one role. So with Charnok being able to go both of these roles in the exact same composition, how does that play into the factor of knowing when to target him and knowing when to counter pick to the enemy Charnok?
Counter picking into an enemy Charnok can be done with Vodin, it can be done with Taito, it can be done with Imani, because even though Charnok is he's got a lot of damage, he's also not super tanky. It's not like he's got Margrave's health, but he's also not the squishiest. So you have to find a balance of when to prioritize him. In regards to Crater and using Crater at all, I haven't really seen Crater used. I mean, it could be potentially useful in a super pick comp. So Margrave, Wu, Charnok, Imani, Taito would be a perfect example. Okay. Or if you were to swap out the Paco for the Margrave, you get the stun with the first one. Charnok starts channeling Crater. Imani then has to hit the knockdown, and that'll knock him down long enough for Crater to hit. Then you get the Wu Tongue come in, and then that'll bring him back to where Taito's standing to kill off whoever. Right. But the problem with that is you deal enough burst damage there, because if you go knockover bolts, you get Margrave stun, followed by Margrave just whacking you while you're stunned, followed by Imani knockover, and then in a second Imani shot, which for a lot of people is more which comboed with the Margrave hit,
that's
Margrave hit plus a couple of LMBs plus channeling the RMB, maybe interrupting you with the Q once you come out of it. That'll kill a great number of people in Gigantic. It'll kill Trip, Taito, Beckett, Charnok, Imani.
It'll really kill anybody. If you really
it'll kill anyone who's not a huge tank.
Right.
So
spend super heals and to save you in that case.
Yeah, it's just there's not enough damage for that. There's not enough peel away with that much time CC. And at that point, there's no real need to do it. I think what you'd usually do instead is you'd have Margrave jump on, and then you'd have Wu Tongue, and then you'd have the assassins there. And the Wu and the Taito or the Wu and the Trip would clean up whoever it is that you've picked out while the Imani peels the Margrave back to your side. So there really is no need to take Crater, even in that case, because they'll die before you need to take it. Crater could be good at zoning, but once again, it's a really time-sensitive thing, because it's got a 2-second delay on it. That's a lot of time in Gigantic to react.
That is a lot of time.
it's that one actually doesn't hit the entire floor to ceiling. So you can actually you can Taito swoop out. You can Taito swoop away from that. You can Taito swoop out of it if you get stunned, because that's how Taito works. You can Margrave jump out of it. You can trip slide. You can Amani smoke bomb out. You can Beckett jump pack out. You can use anyone's super jump to get out of the range where that'll hit. So it's actually not my favorite in terms of picks.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely agree with the whole delay thing, just really kind of making it just not a good talent pick, at least right now. Do you feel that if they were to lower the delay, would that make it too good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
Then it'd be perma CC. I think the way that Voxel's bringing up, the way that it could work is you could potentially pull a Wutong into a... you could pull a Wutong into the burning field on the ground, and you could pull Wutong into the burning field on the ground, and that could hit Crater, but that requires that your Wu be able to hit the tongue, which is not always guaranteed. There are some Wus who hit it every time. There are some Wus who hit it very rarely, so that's a Frost thing.
No, yeah, it's... you actually bring up a really good point. When you're playing with the team, you really have to know what each other is doing. And I like to use the example of Na'Vi from Dota. They've been playing together for, gosh, who knows how long. Or they were, and then they changed their roster. But they were able to play in such a way where their team communication was, okay, let's all go to this, but team fights would happen, and they would just know what each other's doing. So in correlation to that, you almost have to be kind of one with the force, I guess, in terms of playing around Crater and playing with that delay. So the meteoric fall, I guess, just kind of eliminates the, I don't want to say skill ceiling, but it kind of eliminates the factor of, are you going to get this extra 400x damage in the team fight in trying to assassinate somebody? So it's really, really difficult to kind of justify the Crater talent now, but I mean, I almost feel like it can work. It's just super situational. So,
okay, but you know what we haven't talked about with Charnok yet? You've gone through all these team fights. You've gotten to power. It's time to take the wound. Oh, dear God, Charnok is the scariest person to face when you're trying to take a wound, because none of your usual tactics against range for protecting against wounds work.
Right. Yeah.
It's like you could... Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you could just try... Normally, you stand in front of the ranged attacker. Well, that doesn't matter. His Flamon has ridiculous range. He's going to hit the Guardian anyway.
Right.
You could try stand in front of the Guardian. Well, that doesn't work because his AoE is going to hit the Guardian anyway.
Right. Yeah,
yeah.
He really makes it one of those just really odd kind of, I guess, counter. Again, it's all about counterplay in this game. So if you're able to shut him down at a, I guess, kind of close-ish range and kind of force him to move, he's much like Amani, where Amani is really good if she's standing still. Charnok is really good if he's standing still and able to focus on the target. But if you kind of take him out of his comfort zone and move him, 2 ways till Sunday, it's extremely difficult for him to still do the maximum amount of damage that he allows for. He can still do damage, like unlike Amani, who has to stay, scoped in to do damage. Charnok can do damage while moving, but he's still more effective if he's standing still and able to kind of focus on that target. So
and he's got a huge slowdown. He loses a lot of movement speed while he's channeling his fireball.
He does.
So that makes him a lot easier to hit if the Charnok is not constantly CS going you and just strafing back and forth the entire time. But it means that you can time your shots to figure out when he's gonna peek out to throw the fireball. So
yeah, no, I love playing Amani, by the way. She's so much fun to play. Anything else we want to add to the Charnok discussion before we switch over to healers?
Nope.
Okay. No, I think it's a good segue, actually. It's like, well, normally you can't heal through Charnok's burst. It's just way the heck too much. Right. So, like, what do you do as a healer when you're going against, any of these burst characters?
And that's kind of what the next topic is really about. Is are healers worth it in the current meta? Now, beforehand, we did have this healing meta where it was 2 to 3 healers and a couple damage guys or a tank in the front line, and just have Sven or Vadasi just kind of in the back and just they never die. Your team would just never die, and it was just frustrating as hell. But I guess kind of what we've learned and evolved into is, hey, if we take a healer out and put in another DPS, their 2 healers can't out heal the DPS. So in the current meta, Zeru, is having 2 healers worth it?
I personally don't think so. Art has been struggling against people like Renegades and whatnot because we've been taking healers and losing to things like double assassin comps or AI comps or stuff that's got more flat damage and straight up support. It's got support and damage. So Ashlyn, for example, Zenobia, for example, has good CC and support as opposed to Vadasi. Vadasi doesn't really do anything. Neither Sven. Also, he's got a little bit of a knockback, but you got to hit it. It can clog up paths, but you can jump. You can sprint, jump over it. So there's a lot of reasons why they're not the strongest class of hero at the moment.
Now, you actually mentioned something that I find interesting. You say that Sven is not good as a support hero, but he has the crazy immunity debuff thing. And that's useful, but in the current meta where it's just burst damage and go, it's not, who cares?
Well, I mean, it'd be useful against, like the burning build for the Charnok. That'd take care of him pretty well. But other than that, Vadasi can do the debuff immunity too. So
even there, it's not super effective. They're having debuff immunity is not on somebody is not the most effective thing. Having it on someone like Voden because he actually heals as well. He doesn't need to spec into it. Instead, he specs into a heal plus debuff.
Right.
Where for usually on Sven, you spec into stuff. You spec into things like extra heal on when it hits for someone below 50% health.
Right.
So you don't really get that debuff immunity. What you usually are getting debuff immunity from, you get it from Nasus, Taito. I'm just checking through, making sure I find everybody. But Nasus, Taito, Voden.
Margrave's charge.
Margrave has charge. I was more looking exclusively at the pure escapism passive, where every 10 seconds you dodge. That's the best way to cleanse off damage over time. For example, Taito ult or Taito bleed combo.
Right.
If you manage to survive at all, once Taito's blown his cooldowns, you've got a little bit of time where you can try to find a way to get out.
Yeah.
So if you lose that, Zenobia's got it too, and Zenobia's the last one who has it. But if you lose those, once he's used up his combo, instead of having to say, "All right, Sven, come get me out," or Voden, come get me out, as opposed to just shift right, shift A or shift D or shift S, and just dodge out of it, and all of the damage is gone.
Right.
It's more worth it to take the pure escapism passives instead, because you can cleanse off damage instantly with those. There's no waiting for a support to come in and heal it off of you.
So would that make Sven not really viable in the current meta then?
In my opinion, he's not really all that viable. He doesn't have a huge damage output. If you're to take him out for someone like a Charnok or another big bursty or big tanky lockdown person, or even someone like Zenobia who's got a little bit more she's got more CC and directed abilities that she could use, or Mozu or something like that, you're better off taking them than Sven, because Sven doesn't have huge amounts of DPS. He's a little bit sort of shoved off. So
it's interesting too, because like Sven was such a popular hero for a very long time when we had the healer meta, just because he was so good at it. And it's funny to see roles kind of reverse. I mean, this happens in any game competitively, but like we really didn't have like a balance patch or anything that really changed it. It was just the community going, hey, let's try something different, and it worked. which generally the meta shifts when a balance patch happens or some team comes up with some crazy stupid new way to play. And I mean, all the heroes have been around for a long time, and so there's not much like you can figure out unless a new balance patch happens. So it's really interesting to see the meta evolve without Motiga actually doing anything, and I feel that's encouraging because it kind of shows that the game is a lot more in depth than I think we otherwise might think.
Yeah, the other thing I'm pulling up right now is the most recent set of patch notes as well, where Sven that I remember, and actually Doug is confirming it for me. Sven got a huge amount of damage nerf. He lost pretty much across the board. He lost damage. He lost burst damage and sustained damage.
5.1 or 2.
That was the, I think it was 5.2 that he lost. So that's why I'm trying to find the patch notes at the moment. But he did also get some nerfs as well, which pull him back away, that make him not really as big a power pick as he used to be.
So do you think that he was only good because he had high damage then?
He had high damage, and he had he got nerfed across the board. So he's not as interesting. He's not useful. All right, I'm getting a little bit more information now. He lost 20% damage on his LMB. So
I forgot it was
lot.
that much. I forgot it was that much.
Yeah.
It was a lot of damage that he's had pulled off his LMB. So he's suddenly not as good as he used to be. Someone like Vidasi just doesn't have enough mobility. Can't go anywhere.
Yeah, she's a weird hero in a weird place right now.
So, but they're all gonna get tweaked at some point.
Yeah.
But it's taken a little bit of time for everyone to catch on that they're not really useful anymore.
I mean, as far as healers go, I mean, Voden really is still the superior pick because, like you said, he heals outright. He doesn't have to spec into it. He just specs in for extra healing or the bounce instead of like, oh, well, I kind of heal. Let me spec into super healing. And even then, Sven doesn't really heal that much.
Yeah, it's like 400. So it's one Amani bolt.
Yeah.
Right.
But
and the other thing with Voden is he does significant damage even with just his LMB just by himself.
Yeah.
I mean,
or his ultimate or his clone.
Yeah.
He can just pin people down and keep them.
That's good. Yeah. It's a really interesting concept to see. I mean, like Vidasi, I have yet to see Vidasi be used like really well. She's one of those heroes that is awkward. The recent changes in the 5.0 builds have been very welcomed because they finally changed her right mouse button to not suck. But
they've also fixed her a little bit. The reason why she was so big before 5.2 was her E you could actually spec into where it, instead of being gives you plus 5% per orb when you use your E below 50%, it gives you plus 15%.
Yeah.
So you could stand back and in 3 minutes summon 3 level 3 focus and a level 2, or rather 2 level 3 focus and a level 2 focus creatures. You could summon an Autumn Bloomer, a Storm Drake, and a Stone Serb if you want to. I usually went with a Yeti on it, but especially on Sanctum, the fact that you can just be boom, all of our points are done, they're summoned, and we just get to sit here now and do whatever and play out till Clash, made her really scary to play against.
Not really her. It's just now the focuses can now be used in a team fight.
Yeah, so she's not taking that away from her has made her go back to where she belongs, namely not really good but not really bad either. It's sort of a niche pick that no one uses because she's not mobile.
I feel that her as a healer, she's the best healer in the game, obviously, because she does so much healing. Well, like you said, the mobility just sucks. It's just terrible. It really, really is just bad. And I mean, we will get more in depth as future episodes kind of move on and progress. I'd definitely like to get Jaden in here to talk about his Voden play because he's super good at Voden. But
doesn't miss anything at all.
That pisses me off. It's like, come on, just miss one. Just miss one, please. Nope. Okay, fine. I'll die, jackass. But it's okay. So we still have that title pin, PAX pin to give away. No one.
Actually, yeah. Just let us know in the comments. Sort of. I don't know. Pick something. Impress me. Make me want to give you a title pin.
Impress him. So we are going to try this again and use the hashtag #OnePixel on Twitter. It can be a clever comment. It can be something, why is Charnok awesome? Why does he piss you off? That kind of stuff.
It could be straight up flaming me, because
Right.
I've seen a lot of that tonight.
Yeah,
But
apparently QW was like, hey, you suck. And we're like, okay, great. Good job, bro.
All right, whatever.
That's all
Yeah,
right.
see you later. Bye. Thanks for
do whatever. Post, don't post. We've got a title pin to give away. We'd like to give it away.
Yes.
Give us a reason to do it.
And
So yeah.
We do accept bribes.
no. Do accept bribes.
No, we don't.
No, okay. Like, you can give me licorice. That'd be okay. But we are going to wrap up the show, guys. This has been episode 2 of One Pixel. Next week, we're going to be changing the format just a little bit and going to be doing some other things that we can't tell you about yet. It's secret. But make sure to follow GG Unleashed on Twitter, GG_Unleashed, and GGUnleashed.com as well. Also, go gigantic.com, obviously, for reasons. If you need a beta key, say something, and we have a bunch, so we can give you one. We can get your friends in and all that fun stuff. Guardian Arena number 8 is going to be this week, Thursday and Saturday. Just please remember that if you sign up, please show up, and that would be great. Record the VODs if you're able to, and everyone have a wonderful afternoon, morning, and or evening, and we'll see you guys next time.
See you later.